Thanks for coming back. We love when you keep watching. Don't go away and watch other videos. We want you right here with us on the Hill. Mitch Evans, and here with me today is a very special guest. This is the Director of Operations for Bulk down here in the Haymarket in Lincoln, Tyler S. Tyler, thanks for joining me on the Hill.
Yeah, I'm excited to be here, so thanks for having me.
Well, you know, I brought you on because I wanted to talk about logistics, a huge part of the transportation industry, but more importantly, let's talk about what really matters this morning. Tell me about the men's basketball game last night in the Haymarket. Nebraska is now currently, what's their record?
19-0. It's more surreal than anything. You know, we've always been a football product, and to think that, hey, my two younger kids might be raised thinking we are a basketball school is very intriguing. But yeah, our office is located probably a half mile from the stadium. We're in downtown Lincoln, and being able to walk to the bars, seeing the people come down for pre-games and getting food, it's a different vibe in Lincoln, and we're gonna ride that wave. Absolutely.
I mean, who would have thought? The world is upside down. Indiana football national champs, Nebraska basketball 19-0. Crazy, crazy world we live in. And speaking of crazy worlds, I got some bulk questions I'd like to ask you. Let's move to bulk, shall we?
Absolutely.
Tyler, do me a favor. Just run down your resume. I mean, it's impressive. Why do you like working in logistics bulk?
No 2 days are the same. It's one where, you know, there's never a point of the day where you can just shut your laptop and be done. There's always more you can do. There's always another carrier you can help. There's always another customer you can help. So I actually was a supply chain management major, was an intern right out of school, got into logistics, and I'll probably never leave.
I mean, that's awesome. Here's the thing. Drivers, I know a lot of drivers watch this program, and the craziest of things about our industry, and we lose sight of it, there is a career path in our industry. As Tyler alluded to, he came in as an intern. Now he's leading a bulk operation that's doing fantastic. There are a lot of opportunities in the transportation space. You don't have to just hold the steering wheel the whole time if you don't want to. If you choose to, hell, we love it. But if you want to come into the office and join us and be a keyboard clicker, a lot of space there too for you. Tyler, what is bulk?
So bulk, we operate in a separate niche. So you think of trucking, especially our asset line, you have the van, reefers, and then you can put flatbed into that combination. We haul kind of the rendered or raw materials before a finished product. So we don't have anything that's palletized. We don't have anything that's bagged. We are literally loading out of an auger, dumping into a pit, windrowing things off into a slab. More of the agricultural background. You can get dry material, liquid material, hazmat. There's a vast majority of it. I mean, the ocean is pretty big in bulk. I know a lot of people don't do it. It's one of those niches where you have to kind of know the talk and the lingo and how those operations work. And I'm blessed that Hill Brothers was willing to diversify, which I think is big, especially post-COVID, how some of these trucking companies have been and what your ORs are looking like and your profit losses. Like, you can't put all your eggs in one basket anymore. So for them to take that chance with me and in my office, we've grown from 2 to 10 up to about 15, 18 employees now here in Lincoln, just in our third year. It's been a great success for us.
I think you make a very, very valid point that a lot of companies lose track of. There are two things that keep trucking companies and anybody in transportation going year after year, especially as we go up and down through the cycles. One, healthy balance sheet. Two, diversification. You make a great point. So, yeah, the fact that Hill Brothers is brought in a bulk team that's doing very, very well, that really helps carry the day. Tyler, when you look out at the industry, and we all read some of the stories, we got non-domiciled CDL issues, we've got English proficiency issues, we talk about supply chain ups and downs and all the things that go into what makes transportation so unique and special to work in. What are some of the issues that the bulk world is going to be facing in 2026?
So hitting on that CDL issue with the non-domicile, it's interesting because a lot of our carrier base specifically isn't foreigners. We have a lot of people that are farmers, right? Old school truckers. a lot that are still using flip phones. One thing that we've found with analytics is that van flat reefer market is typically about 9 to 12 months ahead of our curve. So it's nice for us because we can kind of predict some seasonality and some buying and market patterns with that, especially having our van and reefer side. But how that's actually been impacting us here in the last couple months is because of the shortage that it's being created in the van reefer world, a lot of our hopper drivers are dropping their hoppers and attaching to a reefer, right? They'll go chase that buck. So we're actually getting impacted in an indirect manner, where we're actually losing drivers that are willing to switch trailers and go chase that money. And you know, there's pros and cons for doing that. We're very much a relationship industry over in the bulk world. You know, consistency is key. Van and reefers, you know, you can get as high as $5-6 a mile and as low as 85 cents a mile. You don't get that in the bulk world. You know, we have a much smaller roller coaster of, hey, you know, I've seen it. When I started, we were booking, you know, $1.60 a mile, and now it's, you know, all above $2 a mile, but it's a lot more consistent. And I would urge, you know, people in the bulk industry, like, ride it out, like stay in it. Don't be jumping ship to go to a reefer just because it's great now, because it probably won't be 6 months from now.
Well, and it's interesting that you make that comment, because it absolutely feeds into the supply and demand peaks and valleys that our industry goes through. So as the rates stabilize in the bulk world, but then the spot rates in the van world spike, absolutely. If I'm a owner operator, I'm going to park one trailer, grab the other one, and try to ride that out.
Sure.
Which then is going to diminish your supply of drivers and likely drive up rates. So the teeter-totter that goes on in our industry is incredible. You know, I've used this analogy several times, and I'm going to ask you your opinion on this one. But there is no industry in America as hyper-competitive as transportation and logistics. You can throw a rock and find a logistics company, probably somebody sitting in mama's basement. You can throw a rock and find a truck. But when we go to search for a really good restaurant, what do we do when we click on the keyboard to find where's the best restaurant to eat in the Haymarket in Lincoln? What do?
Google it.
We Google it.
Look at reviews.
Yeah, exactly. Google reviews, right? We Google it. We took a company name, Google, technically Alphabet if you're an investor, and we verbed it because they have such a monopoly. Nothing like that exists in transportation. The barriers to entry to become a truck driver or a logistics operator or solo, that we've got to be quick, we've got to be nimble, we've got to be diversified to survive. Has that been your experience in our industry, is the competitiveness?
Yeah, and bulk is such a big, small world. You know, never trying to burn bridges, right? Going to every event. I had a couple drivers that I ran for many years. They came to my wedding. Like, it's just a different environment. It's much less transactional and more repetitive. That barrier to entry, I think, is a interesting comment, because it is much lower. Like, you're talking to a lot of decision makers, it seems like, in our industry. You know, we've gone, you know, the seasonality of it in itself is just mind-boggling, right? Especially when my boss is asking me, like, hey, how did we have those loads for 3 months and now they're gone, right? When you bid on RFPs, they just give you an annual amount. Well, that's not spread out evenly for 12 months. So it's just, hey, if you're getting into the bulk sector, you really have to hire someone that has the experience. You know, we giggle when the TQLs of the world come into our industry and they're trying to sell you a load of corn and they can't tell you even how much, you know, a bushel of corn weighs. So we're, you know, I want to make it known that, hey, Hill Brothers isn't here to just make that buck. Like, we know the industry, we know what it takes, we have the customer base, and the brand of Hill Brothers got us in with a bunch of customers, right? We've been around for how many years now? They're like, hey, if you guys ever get into the bulk world or get hoppers, like, come talk to us. You guys do such a great job on our outbound, you know, on finished feeds or goods. We'd love for you to haul the inbound. So we were able to get a huge jump start from day one, just being able to cross-sell with those customers that we started, you know, doing business with day one because of the brand that Hill Brothers has.
Well, I mean, there you have it. A terrific look at what goes on in bulk. And Tyler, I think that last point is invaluable, right? It is. It's still about relationships. How can you treat your customer? Here at Hill Brothers, we treat them like they're number one every single moment of every day. Our customers and our drivers are why we're here. So, Tyler, I want to say thank you for coming on our podcast and talking about bulk. A lot of people don't understand what that is. I think after they get done watching this segment, they're going to have a much better understanding. I know I did. Yep. So thank you very much. And go Huskers.
GBR. Thank you.
Hey, thanks for coming back. Again, I cannot stress to you enough. Don't hit pause. Stay right here with us. Mitch Evans on the Hill. Hey, in our industry for many, many years, the American Trucking Association, the ATA, and their chief economist, Mr. Bob Costello, very, very smart man. I like him a lot. But here's one of the things that I've never been a big fan of is for the better part of almost 20 years now, dating back to about 2005, the ATA has been talking about a driver shortage. Driver shortage year after year after year. It didn't matter in 2008 when we went into the Great Recession and a lot of trucking companies got clipped, including my own. He was still spouting off driver shortage. Oh, by 2030, it's going to be the worst ever. There will be no trucks running up and down the highway. Well, where did this storyline come from? What is driving it? But before we get into my opinions on why Mr. Costello for 20 years has been talking about a driver shortage, I have a graph I want to show you. Take a look at this. All right, as you can see, we've got peaks and valleys in our industry. Anybody that works in the transportation space knows that we go through ups and downs, good times and bad times. Well, inevitably, there's always a delay effect as supply and demand try to equalize. And going back to about 2019, you can see that our volume levels in the United States of America were pretty flat, pretty standard. And we had an excess amount of trucks and drivers in the marketplace. Hence, no driver shortage. Then COVID hit, a once-in-a-lifetime, perhaps once-in-a-100-year event. And it really is, everybody remembers, right? We were wearing masks and we were sitting at home and we were panicking. But truck drivers still had to move freight. We, in our industry, were deemed essential personnel. We had to keep America fed, so the trucks never stopped moving. But the other thing that happened in that period of time, and something that often gets overlooked, is the United States government pumped $1 trillion into our economy to stimulate it. Well, what are people going to do with $1 trillion? They're going to buy stuff. And if you buy stuff, at some point, it's going to have to move through the supply chain on a truck. And that's what you can see here. The volumes that were generated because of the COVID era spiked, massively spiked. Boy, Mr. Bob Costello and the ATA were really trumpeting then in 2020 and 21 the driver shortage. Well, there wasn't really a shortage. It was a blip. There was a very, very short amount of time where, yes, that was true. We needed more drivers to move that much freight, but it wasn't going to last. So what did the government do? The government started pumping millions, if not billions of dollars into CDL production. That's when we created the non-domiciled CDL, and we started to allow citizens of other nations to join our industry. Well, what did that do? It created overcapacity. So the volumes drop off just like they always do when there's a spike. But now we have excess capacity in the marketplace, and that excess capacity has been going on now for 3.5 years. There is no driver shortage. We have far too many drivers, far too many trucks in our industry still to this date, January 2026. So let's ask ourselves this. What would motivate Bob Costello and the ATA to spend so many years talking about a driver shortage? We have to ask ourselves one fundamental question. Whose interest are they promoting? Is it your mom and pop, middle of the road trucking companies, or is it somebody else? My opinion, it's somebody else. These are the two entities that Mr. Bob Costello and the ATA were representing when they promoted the driver shortage myth. First, the mega carriers. Because if the mega carriers could increase their capacity of drivers, they could keep wages flat. And two, the shipping community. If we could increase capacity of our drivers into the marketplace, we keep shipping rates low. Now, the problem is these two things didn't quite happen. One did, one didn't. The one that did, shipping rates went low. But what didn't happen was wages going low for the mega carriers. Here's why. Because a vast majority of the entries into the marketplace, entries into the transportation space, went into very, very small companies. One driver, one truck, or maybe one owner, 5 trucks, 5 drivers. And that non-domiciled issues flooded the industry from underneath, not up top where the mega carriers exist. So the mega carriers didn't get what they wanted, but the shipping community did. Rates have been low, extremely low, to the point that now bankruptcies are happening all over the country in our industry. So here's what I have to say to the ATA and Mr. Bob Costello. Please stop talking about a driver shortage. It's not real. We have lots of drivers. We just have way too many drivers that are not working in our industry because wages have been too low. They've moved into other areas of our economy. In order to get those CDL holders back into our industry, we have got to get drivers out of the marketplace, especially the bad drivers. And there are a lot of them. So we get the bad drivers out. The good drivers with CDLs and other parts of the industry will move back in to the trucking space, and we will stabilize. So that's my opinion. Take a look at the data. It's out there. Mr. Craig Fuller from Freight Waves has been talking about it for quite a while now. Mr. Justin Miller, and I should say Jason Miller, Dr. Jason Miller from Michigan State University also contends that there really isn't a driver shortage. So check the data, check your sources, and let's all try to ask Mr. Costello and the ATA to stop this nonsense. Hey, thanks for coming back. I love that you're still here with me, and hopefully pass it on to your friends. You want to talk about trucking, you want to talk about everything that goes on in our industry, I want to talk to you. So do me a favor, leave your comments, let me know what you want to discuss, and we'll make sure we get it on our next program. Hey, real quick, we know that bad weather comes with winter, especially in the Midwest, in the plains, in the north. We've got a lot of bad weather coming tomorrow and all through the weekend. So if you're a truck driver, I cannot stress to you enough, stay safe. I got a video I want to show you because I don't want to see this happen again this weekend. So let's take a look at this video. This is from Michigan in the last 48 hours. And tragically, we had all kinds of trucks, semi-trucks, piled up. Why? Hey, ladies and gentlemen, if you're holding that steering wheel, you need to always remember, you are the captain of the ship. You make the decisions on when you should truck and when you shouldn't. Never allow anybody to coerce you. Never allow anybody to drive you to do things that you know aren't safe. How many of these drivers out there made a bad decision? My opinion, they all did. That was a blizzard, lake effect snow along the western edges of Michigan, and the snow gets thick, the wind gets howling, and truck drivers shouldn't be out there. This is a mess. Luckily, fortunately, nobody died. So I don't want to see that happen again. So as the weather moves in over these next couple of days, please remember that if it gets that bad, if you can't see, if you can't stop, if you can't do anything that you normally need to do to control 80,000 pounds while you're out on the highway, I need you to shut it down. Be the captain of the ship. Communicate to your dispatch team. Let them know that the weather is just like it was in Michigan 48 hours ago, and you're not going to go out there and pile it up. Slow down, stay safe, and stay alive. When we come back, we got a special guest. I look forward to talking to you about that, and we'll see you in just a minute. And welcome back to The Hill with Mitch Evans of Hill Brothers. Hey, my very special guest, one of my favorite segments of this is talking to Valentine Winchester. Valentine, are you there, my friend? Can you answer me?
I'm right here, Dr. Evans. Always a pleasure to be back on The Hill. I'm ready to chat about whatever you've got. Let's dive in.
Terrific. Hey, I got some really good questions for you today. Hey, here's the one that I really want to hear your opinion on, and I know mine. I'll share it after. But what are the top 5 most scenic routes that a semi-truck driver can take in these United States of America? What are they, Valentine?
All right, Dr. Evans, let's paint the open road. First up, Pacific Coast Highway in California. Cliffside, ocean views. Next, I-70 through Colorado. Those Rocky Mountains are unbeatable. Then Blue Ridge Parkway in Virginia and North Carolina. Rolling Appalachian beauty. Don't miss US 101 up in the Pacific Northwest. Lush forests and coast. And finally, Beartooth Highway in Montana. Big sky country at its finest. Now I'm curious to hear your favorites.
Well, I got to be honest with you, Valentine. I think those are some great locations that you listed. I'm not so sure on the California highway I want to be running around with a semi-truck. Remember, there's only certain roads that we can travel on. But real quick, I'll give you a chance to correct some of your opinions. Because remember, we got to be in a semi-truck and a 53-foot probably van or reefer trailer. But here's my favorite, Valentine. It's I-84 along the Columbia River Gorge. Beautiful scenery. What do you think of that one?
Oh, you've got a fantastic pick there, Dr. Evans. I-84 through the Columbia River Gorge is stunning and definitely truck-friendly. You've got those sweeping river views, the dramatic cliffs, and it's a route built for big rigs. So I'll absolutely tip my hat to that one. Great choice.
All right, give me one more, Valentine. We're going to scratch the California highway. In a personal vehicle, I've driven that one myself. It's gorgeous. I would not want to try it with a semi-truck. Give me one more, Valentine. Give me somewhere down in the southeast. What do you think of the southeast United States of America?
Fair enough, Dr. Evans. Let's head southeast. How about US Route 441 through the Great Smoky Mountains? You'll get those beautiful Appalachian views, plenty of nature, and it's a route you can manage with a rig. You've got the lush scenery, especially in fall. Just a gorgeous drive down in the southeast.
Another good one. Well done, Valentine. I'm going to give you that one. That's a beautiful route. Hey, that's one of the best parts out there. Anybody's gone trucking over the highways of this great nation, there is some beauty out there. You don't have to stay stuck in the truck stops. And God knows that when you're going through states like Wyoming and Nebraska, where it's pretty flat, a lot of corn, sometimes bad weather, just down the highway, you got some beautiful, beautiful scenery just waiting for you. So keep on trucking. Valentine, thanks for your opinions, and we'll catch up to you next time. A lot of fun today on episode 2. We got to talk to Tyler, learn about bulk. Our good friend Valentine Winchester joined us, and we talked about some of the prettiest areas in this nation you can truck. Hey, the weather's moving in. Don't be a Michigan driver. Get off the road if it gets that bad. And then, lastly, I cannot stress this enough. I am so tired of hearing about a driver shortage. There isn't one. Let's stop talking about it. Let's start talking about stabilizing and making our industry healthy again. So thank you for joining me here on the Hill. I'm Mitch Evans. Here soon, we're going to shoot episode 3. And we're going to have a very special guest join us on that episode, a professional truck driver. I think it's really important that we put the people that are out there doing that job every single day in that seat across from me, and let's hear from them what's going on in the industry. So thank you again, and we'll talk to you soon.